Henshin a go baby, what's good guys, Yoku here, and with the recent news for 1.1 getting leaked slash not leaked, and I say that with, how do I put this, it's not a leak, it's just that it was placed on Bilibili slash the CN website for MiHoYo where they post their news instead of us getting it. So I'm sure we're going to get this announcement later today, if not tomorrow, but the news being that in 1.1 we are going to be getting Silverwolf, Luocha, and a new character called Yukong. Now, if you've played most of the story going into the Xin Xiao Lofu, then you will see that Yukong is another one of the Foxian characters, Foxians being something like Ting Yun. Mentioning that Yukong is basically the imaginary version of Ting Yun. Now, there are some differences between the two characters, but they are both going to be a part of the same class, which is Harmony, if I'm not mistaken, and they're both also going to be buffers. So they're going to be self-buffing as well as party buffing or ally buffing the rest of your teams. Getting another Yukong is going to be awesome. It's going to pretty much make Ting Yun not obsolete. I know somebody's going to run around saying that. It's not going to make Ting Yun obsolete. It just gives you another option. So if you don't have Bronya, having Yukong and Ting Yun kind of replaces the idea, the concept of having Bronya and Ting Yun. Again, Yukong is going to be doing some different things, but at the end of the day, they're still going to be buffing, and however they're going to go about that. I'm not going to go over specific details on these characters simply because until MiHoYo reveals their kit, or at least what they do on a very factual level, I really don't want to go into that. Yukong as of this moment is definitely considered not safe territory to be talking about. So, I mean, more power to you for those that are talking about that in their videos. I'm not doing that. If you want to hear more about it, come to my Discord. Moving to the next character, though, and the more important thing, right? Because Yukong is going to be the 4-star available on either of their banners, if I'm not mistaken, but it might just be one. Similar to how we're going to be getting Jingyuin after Seele, right? So now we have Seele or Seele, and then we're going to get Jingyuin right after that for 1.0, and that's going to finish off 1.0's banners. 1.1 is going to consist of Silverwolf and then Luocha. And so in this case, here's the problem. It's not a big problem, but it is a big problem for free-to-play players, right? If you're free-to-play, you've already been saving for Jingyuin, or you've already burned all your cash on Seele. And I say burn all your cash, I mean burn all your J's, right? You've already used your resources to get Seele, possibly her light cone. You've been pulling, oh, I got E1 Seele, I got E2 Seele. I'm so lucky, woohoo. That's great, that's awesome. Now you get into a predicament where you need to start really planning your account, because you can't just go willy-nilly spinning, and unfortunately, that's going to suck for all of y'all, because Luocha is the character that you want to get if you don't have Bailu, and I know a lot of you actually don't have Bailu. Natasha's great, she's an awesome healer. They don't perform the same, and so unless you have an E6 or an E4 Natasha, honestly, no, screw that, an E6. Unless you have an E6 Natasha, and she's caked up, stacked out, whatever you want, then maybe you can get away with not pulling Luocha. But if you don't have Bailu and Natasha, you are almost forced to pull Luocha. And I say forced because once you get to the later half of Memory of Chaos, you start getting into Forgotten Hall. If you go and look at all of these top teams that are competing or dominating, I don't want to say dominating, that's a really, really bad term to use because they're not actually dominating it. Surviving, they are able to push through Forgotten Halls and Memory of Chaos. You notice that they have 2 healers, a tank, or a tank being, you know, your shielder, of course, or 2 shielders and 2 healers, whatever the case may be. The main focus is that they have 2 healers, right? You can get away with not having a Gepard or a Fire MC or a March 7th on your team as long as you have a strong healer, i.e. Bailu. And then you could also get away with having Bailu or Natasha, but then you have Gepard on the side or at the end of the team. In this specific case, if you do not have a second healer that is strong, i.e. Natasha and Bailu, you are almost forced to pull Luocha. And I'm saying this and I'm repeating it so that it kind of gets drilled into people's heads. Luocha is a character that is going to be doing heals, he's going to be doing damage, and he is the second character that's coming to the game that's going to be able to dispel enemy buffs. The only other character in the game that I can think of right now that does that is Pela. And so that is a huge thing that's being slept on right now, is the fact that you can remove buffs from the enemies. Right now, Luocha being a 5-star character, being a healer at that, and being able to dispel an enemy buff and while still doing damage from his ultimate, plus giving him more of the Abyss Flower stacks, right? The Abyss Flower is basically something that he uses in order to help him do more heals, and it kind of works slightly like Bailu, but a little differently. So what Bailu's able to do is she pops her skill, and then after Bailu pops her skill, it does the bounce, bounce, bounce heals, and then for the next couple of turns, it's going to sporadically heal the rest of the team. So you really don't have to use Bailu's skill to heal every single time. In Luocha's case, it's kind of similar. He's going to pop his skill, he's going to heal you, and then he's going to gain 1 stack of this Abyss Flower, this flower. Whenever opponent's HP drops below 50%, he's automatically going to heal them for free. No skill point required, no SP, anything like that, right? Doesn't take a turn. It's very similar to an ultimate, but it acts immediately. And there are other characters that do that too. Natasha does it for herself. It's just not a stack, but you need E1 to do that. Luocha being able to do this essentially free healing for as many flowers that he has, or as many times as you can trigger this condition, is going to be huge, because that means that you can now focus on him doing damage, and his healing is already based off his attack as it is. So you're going to be building him into attack percent or attack anyway. So this is going to be another character, or the first of the few characters that I've been calling out that are going to be these hybrid type of characters where they're in a completely different class, right? He's in the abundance class, he's healing, but he's also going to be doing, like, I don't want to say mad damage, but he's focused on doing damage, and that is what it is. With that in mind, and finishing out Luocha, yeah, you kind of have to pull him, right? I'm even considering pulling him, and I've been trying to wait because I don't have Bailu on my main account, but not being able to participate in Memory of Chaos or do those events without a second healer is crucial. And until I try it, if I end up having Bailu, I'm just gonna have to grab Luocha too, because it's too much of a not pass. He's not a must pull for everybody, but he's definitely a must pull for if you don't have that second healer. Moving from that though, we can actually talk about Silverwolf. And if you guys have seen a few of my videos, you know that I gassed the hell out of Silverwolf. Silverwolf is going to be one of those characters, a debuffer, that is going to be insane. I actually think Silverwolf, in my opinion, would be the must pull character, and this is of course based off of the information I had during beta and a little bit after post release. They could change everything, and if they change everything, then I'll retract my statement about her being a must pull, but as of right now, I think Silverwolf is a must pull character simply because she makes almost every team immaculate. Silverwolf is the type of character where she is going to her debuff is basically applying a substantial amount of debuffs to the enemy. She can also, which no one else in the game is going to be able to do this, by the way, she forces weaknesses. If a character or an enemy is not weak to, let's say, Quantum, and you're using Seele, and we already know that Seele can't, right? She doesn't really do a lot of damage if it's not Quantum weak, quote unquote. I know that's a lie, but that's not my point. My point being is that Silverwolf applies her debuff, all the enemies are now weak to Quantum, and then Seele just takes out the entire board like she normally does. Or let's say you don't have Seele. Oh, okay, cool. Well, I only have Himiko, and these enemies are not weak to fire. Well, guess what? Himiko plus Silverwolf, now they're weak to fire. Himiko does her big boom damn, and then now they're all dead because they're weak to fire and they take extra damage. They get burned, they get broken. It's easier to break their shields. You no longer have to play the game. The game mechanics don't function. When I tell you guys the same thing in my tier list, right? If a character helps you break the game mechanics at a functional level, that character is strong. Off rip. There's nothing else you can do about it. Silverwolf breaks the game's mechanics at a functional level. The only way for them to nerf, quote unquote, this character is to remove that basic function. If they remove how she debuffs things or how frequently she can debuff things, and they change all that, maybe this changes the way the character is. But as of right now, I recommend everyone picking up at least one copy of Silverwolf. But that's the least of your worries. A lot of y'all are waiting for Mommy Dami Kafka, right? You guys really want Mommy Kafka. I want Mommy Kafka. She's coming right after. I don't know when, if it's going to be like directly after Luocha, but I know that it's going to be Silverwolf, Luocha in 1.1, 1.2, we're going to get Kafka. It's almost right in our faces that we're going to get Kafka. If we don't, you know, I guess maybe some story-based stuff that we don't get it, and it might be a Kazuha situation where we've seen Kazuha early on, but we don't get him for at least another year. Maybe, who knows? But from my predicament, what I can predict, we're definitely going to get Kafka. And if we do get Kafka, here's the problem. Let's say that you started the game when we said start the game. You grabbed Seele, even though people said don't do it. If you're free to play, we said don't grab Seele, but you were like, nah, I need Seele. She's my favorite character. I'm going to risk the biscuit. And you won the 50-50. Cool, awesome. If you saved your gems from the point that you grabbed Seele, and I mean early on, right? Or you won the 50-50, that means you have another guarantee of gems worth, right? So if you maxed out all the way to 80, 90 pulls on Seele, you got her on the 50-50, and then you didn't touch your gems no more. You're not using gems to refresh. You're not using fuel to refresh. You're not doing none of that refresh stuff, right? You're just playing the game casually, slowly going up to where you need to be. And then you skip Jing Yuan, you don't pull, you're not shooting for Ting Yun, you're not shooting for any March 7th copies, and you're not shooting for Sushan. You skip Jing Yuan all the way, right? Boom, awesome, done. Now you can save all of that, right? And then now you can go into 1.1. 1.1 is going to introduce a whole new story arc, so that's more gems that we're going to be able to get, or more jades we're going to be able to get. And then from there, now you can be like, all right, cool, well, I have enough to hit one pity. I skipped a whole banner. I have enough from all the other things, use Memory of Chaos, Forgotten Hall, all the other extra gems to possibly have a second pity, right? So now I have a total of 180 tickets worth of my Stellar Jades or tickets. Now I can pull for Silverwolf. Shoot for the 50-50. Boom, I got her. Awesome. I have another pity to save, and now I can start saving whatever I can until Luocha comes out right after Silverwolf. Boom, I get Luocha. That's the perfect scenario. If you didn't do that and you missed any of those 50-50s, you don't get the other characters. If you miss the 50-50 on Seele and you just don't have enough gems to get her before she goes away, which, I mean, the game has given us a few free tickets, so technically you guys probably can shoot for the 50-50 anyway, and then you get Seele, awesome. Now you have to save everything up all over again because you missed the 50-50 and you have to go to pity twice. Well, now you have to skip Genuine. You won't have enough to get Silverwolf. Now you have to skip Silverwolf unless they give us an event, unless they give us enough of the J's inside of 1.1's new story or whatever, and then you might be able to shoot for the 50-50 on Silverwolf, but that's not smart. So you're probably going to save, skip Silverwolf, and then go for Luocha. Awesome. Now you've gotten Seele because you wanted to off the pity, right? The full pity. You skipped everything. You got Silverwolf off the full pity because you just missed it. That's the ideal, or not ideal, that's a realistic scenario to prepare for what's going to happen. And you skip Luocha. Well, Kafka comes out. You don't have enough time to get Kafka at this point. You used everything to get there. So now you really have to hit that 50-50 or just hope that you get Kafka on the lucky 10 pull. And I know that a lot of you guys get things off luck. That's cool. That's awesome. I'm not advising people to do anything based off RNG. I just don't. I'm telling you the realistic aspect of it. If you want to do blank, blank, and blank, this is how much you need to save up for whatever. This is how long you need to save up for it. This is the smartest decision to do. You guys can choose to do whatever you want beyond that point. This is just what I'm recommending if you had bad luck. The other scenario, I know that was a long-winded scenario, but the other scenario is that you skip Seele and you shoot for Genuine. Awesome. You get a bunch of free characters right off the 4 stars. All those characters are awesome. You get Genuine, really strong character, and now you go directly into Silverwolf. You hope that you get Genuine very early on so that you could dump the rest of your resources in a Silverwolf, or the smarter play is to skip Silverwolf. I know I said she's a must pull, but hey, look, you didn't get Bailu, right? You didn't get E6 Natasha. So now, once again, you are forced to make that decision. You need this healer. You need a strong healer because now we're getting into Trailblazer level 40. Once we get around to Luocha's banner, everybody that started at the beginning of the game should be around Trailblazer level 40, right? Even if you casually play it, you're going to need Luocha at this point. So it really just comes down to whatever it is you want to do. But at the end of the day, all free-to-play players are now in a very tight predicament. I hate this for you. I hate this for my own free-to-play account, but you have to make that decision. And there is nothing anyone else can tell you. No one can recommend, like, oh, man, everyone should pull for, if you're free-to-play, skip Silverwolf and pull for Luocha. I can't recommend that. If you have Bailu, right, then you may not need Luocha, right, because you have Natasha and Bailu as your 2 healers. You can skip Luocha if you have Bailu. I'm going to say that right now. If you have Bailu, you can skip Luocha. Grab Silverwolf. But then comes Kafka, and repeat what I just said in my video. Regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I really just wanted to break down some stuff. I know everyone is talking about like the new banner. It's awesome, yada yada, this and that, and it is awesome. These characters are super great. They're cracked out as of right now, unless they get changed. But for right now, you just think about the decision that you're gonna make, plan for it. All free-to-plays are pretty used to that, if I'm not mistaken, and go from there. Regardless, I can't say my usual outro because it's inappropriate for YouTube. Like the video, comment, subscribe, follow my Twitch if you want to see me playing that free-to-play count live. More than likely today / this week. Smell you later.